Hello, I'm Hannah and welcome to my 6-part series of Find Your Flight, where I'll be teaching you the basics of aerial yoga and one of its greatest benefits, which is spinal release and decompression. Let's go ahead and jump into today's lesson. Today, we shall be learning one key skill that will set us up for our first inversion in the hammock. And we'll also be working on engaging our core, and our core muscles are really going to help us go into that inversion in a really safe and secure way. I think at this point it's really important for us to set up our hammock at exactly the right height for our body as we progress through today's lesson and our next lesson. So we want to have the hammock set up at the right height for our body. I tend to be a little bit shorter in the body than I am in the legs. So you want to try to find where the bony part of your hips are. And if you see that length compared to the length of that hip bone to my heel, I am definitely shorter in the torso. Some of us are going to be the opposite, longer torso, shorter legs. Some of us will be pretty even. So it depends a little bit with our shape as to what height you might need, but on the whole, for what we're going to be doing, a good rule of thumb is if you are longer in the torso, you want to be aware that when you're hanging upside down, your head is going to possibly be closer to the ground than it might be for me, who is shorter in the torso. So you have to be a little bit more aware at making sure your hammock is that tiny bit higher than you might like for other poses, and that's vice versa for me. So there'll be other things that I prefer the hammock to be higher or lower in, and over time you start to get used to what is the right height for me in this posture, in this pose, in this transition. So my hammock is set up correctly for my height, and I want to be able to come around to the back edge, take hold of the fabric with a push grip here. So I've brought my hands inside and I'm leveling out those hands so that the little finger is the same height as the index finger. I stand under plumb line and I want to have my hands a little bit wider than my hips. When you push down, your hands will want to come closer together and your hands will want to start to lift at the little finger side. Try to avoid that. So up onto your tippy toes, releve, push the hands down. So my fabric can go, remember, a tiny bit lower than someone that has a very long torso, but you don't really want to go much lower than what you might see here on the screen. I could potentially have a fraction lower for my body. I just know that in my own practice. But I'm pushing down and I've got the fabric about an inch to 2 inches lower than my hip bone, roughly where the hip flexors are. Come a little bit closer to the screen. So where that crease starts is our hip flexor. We're trying to get the fabric roughly along that line. For some of us, it could be a fraction lower if you've got a shorter torso. For some of us, definitely don't go lower if you've got a longer torso. So once you've found the height of the hammock set up, come around to the front edge and try to find one edge of your fabric, sweep it out side to side. We did this 2 lessons ago for our silkworm, and we're making sure that it isn't sort of folded in any way. However, we are going to fold our fabric. So I've come around to one side. I'm going to call this hand my front hand. This hand is going to be my back hand. So we reach around to the back edge. So you have one edge in either hand. Bring your hands up together at the top between the 2 pillars of fabric. Your back hand is going to keep the 2 edges in the sky as you release that front hand. Go ahead and take the fold gather of fabric at the bottom. And then just level out your hands. We've now folded our fabric. Release that back hand. Start to walk around to the front edge. I'm starting to turn my back to the fabric, and then I'm going to hook my back hand's thumb into that edge, and then both thumbs into that edge. We have the fold in our thumbs. This time we don't want to grab 6 handfuls, we're going to grab 3 generous handfuls. Reach your fingers long, gather. 1, 2, remember you want to be forwards a plumb line as you do this. 3, now step back, bring your elbows to the inside edge, stand under plumb line. Hands a little bit wider than your hips, just like we've done before. Releve, come up onto your tippy toes, press your hands down, make sure your hands are not going to be trapped underneath your buttocks. Shift the weight into one leg, lift and hover the other knee, pause, find strength, push down and pull the fabric right up behind the back of your knees. Once the fabric is secure behind the knees, reach the arms up, around the back edge, and then gently take hold, fingers to the front, thumb to the back. So you can stay like this for a moment longer or just go ahead, relax the arms. I just want to explain why we've folded the fabric, and this is what we're going to do next time for our inversion as well. Basically, I'm trying to reduce the amount of fabric that could gather at the back of our body that could ultimately create discomfort when we do come to our inversion. This is a great setup for beginners. It means that we don't have to worry too much about the excess fabric and what to do with it. At a later date, when we become a little more aware, advanced, then we don't need to do this. But this is a really great beginner-friendly, accessible way for us all to start our inversion practice. So reach the arms up, fingers to the front, thumbs to the back. And then you're going to start to lean back and lower the hands. Keep looking forward. So I'm assuming that the screen is roughly in front of you. Keep looking towards that screen and look towards your toes as you extend the legs forwards. Often this shape I would refer to as a lever pose. My head is still a little higher than toes. We are always looking forwards here. Do not look up or back. Keep looking forwards. And then if you can, squeeze your thighs together and your toes, so the big toe knuckles. So it's like your legs become one. We're going to draw the knees in for a little sort of crunch or tabletop pose, a reverse tabletop, and then extend the legs forwards. Try to do that with breath. So maybe an exhale as you draw the knees in, an inhale, extend, or it could be the other way around, whatever sort of works for you here. Some will prefer the breath to be reversed. Knees in, extend, and knees in, and extend. Go ahead, pull down as you sit up, fabric behind the back of those knees. We're going to add on here. So remember, you're always looking forwards. You're not looking up or back. Come back and meet me in lever pose. Hands high, thumb to the back edge, fingers to the front. As you lean back, your hands will lower as you extend those legs. And then once you've got yourself into lever, lock your fingers in a little bit more by pulling the fingers towards the thumb to the center of your palm. All right, so this time bring the knees in, extend the feet up towards the sky, and then lower the toes. I'm going to invite you to actually lower the toes so that they go lower than your hips. Keep looking forwards. And the fabric should ride up the back of the thighs. And then from here, widen those toes. Bring the toes back together. Bring the knees in. Do that again. Extend the feet up. Inhale. Lower the feet so they go lower than your hips. Notice the fabric. Draw the back of those thighs up to the buttocks. Widen the feet like a star. Bring those feet together. Draw the knees in. One more. Lift the toes. Lower the feet so they go lower than your hips. Widen those toes. Squeeze the glutes. Feet together. Draw the knees in. Pull down. Whew. sit yourself up. We're going to take our pause in a gentle child's pose. Now, this one be careful with. Your fabric is folded. It means that you actually have less fabric to catch you as you forward fold. So my suggestion is don't go too far. Create a little hunched spine. Let your head become heavy. The arms are always around the back edge. Forehead is dropping. We're not needing to forward fold too much. And when you're ready, slowly coming up to sit. So you could play around with a few of those drills. I offered about 2 variations there. You could add on a few different variations. Just keep trying to build some awareness and some control of where your hands are, where your gaze is, and that lovely support from your center. Let's practice descending feet towards the earth once again. Bring the hands high. Grab the fabric really firm, so you're really strong with that grip, pressing fingers into the center of your palm. Hug elbows in, push the thighs down, and gently bring the feet to the floor. Well done. So next week, we are going to see if we can invert. It may be that you're not ready to invert. Maybe you won't hold that inversion for a long period of time. That's okay. It's a journey that you can retake and retake. Just go back to that first video and then keep on going. See you next time. If this practice resonates with you, check out the details that I'll add in the description box below. I am involved with virtual teacher trainings in collaboration with the wonderful Renee Stevens from Creative Body Flow, who created this world-class teacher training course for aerial yoga therapeutics. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like it below, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon. Not only will this keep you up to date with my offerings, but will keep content like To The Being free and accessible to all.